My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's semi-final week.
You sound so happy.
I'm clouding over my better judgment.
It's the second last... Who am I kidding? This is not the second last podcast because apparently we're doing 7 in 7 days.
Yep. So let's open with the 7 in 7, shall we? And by the way, we've got other things to do. We're never ending. This doesn't end.
No.
You're not getting out of it just yet.
No, our whole relationship hinges on this
Based
podcast.
on this podcast, really. If this podcast stops, I no longer exist. So, a couple of things. There will be 7 in 7 days. There could actually... No, realistically, with all of the extra planning and things that happen after, it could end up being something close to 8 in 10. But 7 in 7 is the goal, and 7 in 7 is the focal point. Now... We're beginning, obviously.
Should we get a sponsor? Like a walkathon?
Nice. It would be lovely.
Every podcast, people donate 10 cents.
If everyone wants to donate 10 or 20 cents, and, we can spell out the Great Australian Bakeoff in 20-cent pieces, and all that money can be donated to Kristie because she's going to go slowly insane as I make her podcast 7 times in 7 days.
No, we could just give it to a good cause. Like
you, because you're struggling.
Isn't the Maggie Beer Foundation do stuff? I don't know.
What, a new wing on Stately Beer Manor?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to hide it at the start. Chris will be on this week. In fact, the biggest issue with Chris being on this week isn't Chris being on this week.
How many times?
It's stopping Chris from being on every night this week.
I did hear some scrabbling around outside. It could be him in the bushes trying to make his way in.
He's very keen, and there's going to be a couple of things coming up, actually, you're not going to want to miss. That's a bit of forward sizzle
for you. He's so keen, he's in a jar, like a yellow paste.
Yeah, he's so keen, he's mustard. But Chris will definitely be on this week. Tentatively, I'll say Sunday, but it's a flux situation at the moment. Not a flux capacitor, a flux situation.
Oh, I thought we were getting a DeLorean.
We're not getting a DeLorean. Not yet, at least. Not if we got a DeLorean.
The wedding. Oh, my God, we could have a DeLorean shot to the wedding.
Just planning our wedding on the podcast. Anyway, Moving on. So that's the first thing I had to just say. There are 7 in 7 coming up. Mm-hmm. Chris will be one of them. Yes. He will definitely be one of them. We're talking to a few other people.
And I'll be the other because I'm this co-host. Oh, you being the other Chris. Okay.
And we are talking to a few other people who may hopefully be on this week. You know, there's 3 people in a grand final.
There's 3 podcasts ready to go.
There's 3 podcasts potentially. We are actually having some chats with people. So we'll obviously, you'll find out as we do it. It's a bit like Wallace and Gromit. We're laying the tracks as the train comes forward. So let's get into the semi-final, shall we? Now, before we actually enter what they talked about on the episode, big shout out to Emma.
Yeah.
Because Emma
takes the drinking game seriously.
Emma was playing along with the drinking game.
She had a cider.
She had whatever it was. I'm assuming it was empty by the time the drinking game ended. Because we pretty much, except for the 3, I deliberately made it difficult this week. Because, like, I could say bird or I could say dog. And
or bee flying out of a rose.
You're going to hit that, all right? That's easy. However, it's the semi-final. You've got to lift your game.
Except I think my neighbours might think I'm just, like, going mad because they heard me like, 1, 2, damn it.
Yeah. So that was, I think, the only one. We didn't hit 3 in a row, and the wet weather contributed to that. But we pretty much hit every other one on the game card, including in the last 30 seconds we hit 3. So it was a big drinking game this week, and you must have all been getting to the end going, I'm okay.
I'm all right.
This isn't too, oh crap, oh shit, oh crap. And yeah, people are slightly tipsy now and waiting for us.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It is.
You know, people need to be a bit drunk to listen to us, I think.
Lubricated them up.
They're ready for us.
Fluffed them like Dave fluffed his buns.
And everything we say is hilarious, just like everything that Mel and Claire says is hilarious. They were, again, jumper game and skirt game on point. And
most importantly, fucking opening credits. Opening sketch.
The opening sketch was great. The streamer was fantastic. I love, now do me.
It was essentially, like, seeing them reminds me of me and my sister growing up. Like, just the shit we do to, like, entertain ourselves. Because, like, we were in that generation where we didn't have electronics.
We've talked about it a lot on this series, but it's true. Those two are really feeling this series. And they are at an absolute high point. And I'm going to put it out there. I think they're the best hosts of the series in terms of here or British. I think they've surpassed what's happening over there, and I love Noel and Sandy, for example, and I love Mel and Sue, but I really love.
They're not like our Claire and our Mel.
I love Claire and Mel, and I love
our Claire
and our Mel. Sorry, and I think that our Claire and our Mel have taken their timing and they pitch it perfectly. It's absolutely perfect. So outstanding series, ladies, and again, grand final to come. Now, what I got out of the intro was they all walked across the field in a shot that didn't look at all staged.
It looked natural.
Chris sings a lot. Everywhere he walked, he seemed to be singing something. I mean, there's a great moment later on in the showstopper where everything's really stressful, everyone's working on their layers, and Chris is very quietly singing to himself, "Oh, Mindy" from The Simpsons.
You came and you baked me a turkey.
Yes, exactly. But I sent you Bengay, oh Margie.
Oh no, is that the same one?
Yeah, oh Mindy. Yeah, it's Mindy and then Andy. Dad either in love with a woman called Mindy or a man called Andy. So the first challenge was hot cross buns. You had to do 24 of them. It must be a yeasted dough, and anyone who's watched any more than 5 minutes of Bakeoff shudders, because the yeasted dough means proving, and we all know that it's very hard to prove yourself in the Bakeoff shed. See what I did there?
Oh, no.
More importantly, it's very hard to prove dough in the Bakeoff shed. It never quite does what you want it to do.
No.
And you have to double prove it.
Yes. And, like Dave did, the Chinese technique of warming his flour, just giving it a little little water bath.
Yeah, well,
that's what you need to do, is just put your flour into a nice warm bath, light some candles, let it relax so it comes out all fluffy after.
Massage it.
Sprinkle matcha into it.
No. No. Dave, we need to talk. We need to talk.
Chris, I think this is much ado about nothing.
Ouch. So Leah, for the jokes, was talking on Twitter, and she put out to people that she did say to me that during the week that when I saw this episode, I would freak. Yep.
All he needed was to finish it off with an ouzo glaze.
I was talking because this episode had a lot of
beetroot.
things. This episode had a lot of things I don't like. It had matcha, and it had lots
Maggie Beer.
It had matcha, and it had dried raisins and currants and sultanas all the way through this thing. And
what did you think? It was
yeah, I know what it was, but what I'm saying is these are all flavours I'm not particularly fond of. So I was ready to start whinging about the currants and the raisins and the sultanas, and I was halfway through typing out a really snarky tweet about that. And then they cut, and all I see is a measuring cup with green powder. And I deleted my tweet instantly and just typed in capital letters matcha Y.
Matcha.
To which Dave did apologise, but that's not good enough, Dave. No, not good enough.
Don't apologise, it's hilarious.
So Dave did...
Keep doing it.
Dave did miscellaneous green powder and red bean paste. Although partly red bean paste and partly actually beans. So he said he didn't do just the paste. He actually mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah, because part of he obviously picked up on part of the thing with your hot cross buns is to have something in there with a bit of texture in them, whether it's the fruit, the chocolate, the currants, or the beans. Yeah,
and I mean, matcha doesn't have much of a texture to it. It's just got a scent of disappointment.
It's usually not. It's very unusual to see beans stuffed into buns. It's not something you see often, and I think it's
not something you see often.
I think it's quite brave of Dave to stuff beans in beans.
Beans in his buns.
Yeah.
Barb did fig and walnut and all those sorts of flavours, which was and talked consistently about how sticky her buns were.
Oh, and how you just want to get your face in there with Claire.
You just want to get your face in there and
the buns and
sample how sticky her buns are.
Your face comes out all sticky when you come up for air, and it's nice and in depth there. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Moving on. Chris went with cranberry, white chocolate, and cinnamon. Add another thing to the Maggie Beer hatred list.
I know.
White chocolate. I'm actually starting... I mean, we've said before about me and the things that I don't particularly like in a bake, but I'm starting to think that this series is more about what Maggie doesn't like.
Yeah.
I'm really learning a lot. And the white chocolate, of the three flavours, the cranberry, the white chocolate and the cinnamon, white chocolate is not the one I'm expecting Maggie Beer to go, oh, don't quite know about that.
If you're a baker going into the next season, you'd be writing this down. Things to avoid.
If you're one of the people who listened to our advice and went and auditioned and you're now, preparing yourself to enter the shed, I really hope you've paid attention to what Maggie Beer doesn't like.
Maybe get it out of your system, and in week 2 when you're feeling pretty confident or whatever, just throw all of the ingredients she hates into one bake.
Sticky date white chocolate pudding with a chili sauce.
Yes.
That would work beautifully.
And pecans on top.
With the pecans on top.
Brittle.
Pecan brittle on top. That'd be perfect. Maggie just won't touch it. She'll just walk away. Back to stately beer man as she goes. Now,
fly, Maggie, fly.
Now, far more importantly than anything else that happened, the Maggie Copter
Maggie Copter.
Far more important
Powered by Verge Juice.
Far more important than anything that happened in those first couple, though, however, we learned an important truth. We asked a question. Very early on this series, we asked the question, and we've asked some bakers for their opinions, and we finally got the answer.
Glug, glug, glug.
Claudia is the booze baron. I've been waiting for it. We've been trying to work out who it is. We've been trying to work out who it is who's bogarting the booze.
Wait, we're finally
in the semi-final.
She's been walking around with her hat going,
Look at me, Rex Banner. I have a new hat. So she put chocolate and rum in the middle. Lots of rum this week. Lots of rum this week. I like that.
Ode to pirates.
Yeah, but I loved the amount of booze that Claudia put in everything this week because that is a Bakeoff staple. When in doubt,
booze it up.
Booze it up. There was also a lot of talk this week again, second week in a row.
Yeah.
Every second word out of their mouths for most of these seemed to be butter.
Yeah.
Butter's amazing. Isn't butter wonderful? And Maggie cuts back and goes, you know what? Butter is really essential here. And,
they've got a quota. They've got a Devondale quota.
Mr. Devondale was off in the corner after burning Raíces last week and sent home, just sort of nodding with, joy. So Mr. Devondale, you got exactly what you want. # you ought to be congratulated.
And Claire Hormel just sneakily walks around and goes, it's been 5 minutes and you haven't said butter.
Say butter. They're holding us hostage. Maggie can't walk anywhere. They've surrounded her with butter. If she takes a step, she'll fall. You don't want national treasure Maggie Beer to fall, do you?
But in actual fact, it's just Maggie lounging on her butter.
Just lounging on the butter hoard. And what we also saw tonight, I think Dave's been impacted by, I think his programming's been impacted by some less than pleasant influences in the shed. I'm not going to target anybody with this. One of them might have gone home tonight, and the other one might be Barb. So his comment of where he's moving all around, you can sleep on my buns, and then he went, dirty. And it was just like a 3-year-old who's discovered the first dirty joke you've ever told. It was just spectacular. He's just gone, it was the dirty, and just looked at the camera like, I made funny.
Like
that was me.
Like, I've got this innuendo shit down pat.
I have spent all these weeks, I haven't learned a single baking technique. I've just been watching innuendos.
But then you just have Chris and Barb in the background going, the patter one.
I like the idea they just sort of linked. Graduated. They just sort of put arms around shoulders and sobbed. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Sunrise, sunsets.
Cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Yes, we have no bananas. Anyway, so the judging...
Apparently brought to you by The Simpsons tonight.
Of course it is. In honour of Chris. In honour of Chris, the man who has a stonecutter's tattoo.
Yes.
So, if you've not noticed that before, shame on you. So, Claudia's, they said that they were slightly heavy in terms of the dough. They were, however, in the words of Barney Stinson, moist. They also said that a little bit of that moisture, though, was the fruit that was in hers. They said the flavour was complex and it worked, but Matt did say that he thought the dough needed to be lighter. Yeah, Don't panic, that was coming.
We saw that there was a lot of pointing out in the storyline that Claudia was having a little bit of trouble with approving. Yeah. But she proved them in the end, didn't she?
She proved the doubters wrong.
Yeah.
And you got guys.
Activated her yeast, much like Pete Evans' almonds.
Never mention him again. Now, guys, I know we're throwing a lot of these really, really over-the-top baking references in tonight, but it's our second last episode of the series in terms of, like, reviews. We've got to get them all out. All of these must go. So we've got to prove ourselves to you.
Rise to the occasion.
That's something hot cross buns. I also forgot to mention...
Stir it up like a mixer.
I forgot to mention, Maggie Beer took a very subtle shot at the supermarkets tonight when she said, hot cross buns, we ate them on Good Friday, and that was the only time we ever saw them. That's a shot at the fact they come out on Boxing Day.
Oh my God, they were out before Valentine's.
They were out of Boxing Day. The first lot of hot cross buns I saw this year were Boxing Day.
You know, I like being a pagan because, like, my festivals don't get... who am I kidding? Most of them are fucking stolen. But you get these fucking hot cross buns out, right? And you haven't even had a chance to go, ooh, Jesus is now alive and kicking and happy birthday, when someone's going, well, guess what, fuckers? He dies. Sorry to spoiler alert.
Are hot cross buns the ultimate spoiler alert? Spoiler alert. I know you're all celebrating, but spoiler.
I mean, technically the hot cross bun were made for like a German goddess.
Yes.
So, but you know, in this context,
no, they're made for the fresh food people. You know that. Anyway, barbs were identical. The glaze was apparently amazing. They said that, however, more butter would have been good because Mr. Devondale was in the corner going, ramp it up. And Maggie gave us, ooh, sticky.
Did you think this coming season, right, instead of seeing hay bales around, we'll be seeing like little like stacks of butter, crates of milk?
No, butter's too expensive. They can't afford it. Even Devondale's going, we don't have the budget. We don't have the budget. Matt said that dough was great. There wasn't as much fruit as he wanted, though. Now, I personally was fine with the lack of fruit in some of these. For me, that was a benefit.
I like sparsity of fruit in my hot cross buns.
Yes.
But it's because I really like the dough.
And there was a bit of
doughy.
And there was a bit of a discussion
They should make chorizo not chorizo, what are they called? You know, the ones where they deep fry them.
Yeah. Churros.
Churros.
I knew where you were going. I knew exactly where you were going with
it.
It
even rhymes.
Hot cross churros.
Yeah.
Sort of in a vague way. Anyway, there was a discussion going on Twitter tonight as well about, do you include chopped chips in your hot cross buns? Now, there were some people saying that they consider that to be heresy. I consider that to be delicious.
What would Jesus do?
Jesus would
He'd want chocolate. Like, who the fuck wouldn't?
To be honest, he was a bit busy.
Yeah, dying.
He was a bit busy.
But, you know, he's on the cross, right? Two people come up to offer him stuff, and one goes, look, I've got this dried fruit in there. He's like, oh, dried fruit, that sounds spectacular. Someone goes, I've got chocolate. He's like, what the fuck's chocolate? Because it hasn't been, like, invented yet. And they're like, it's this, like, deliciously sweet sugar. Oh, my God, that's going to have more calories in it and hopefully keep me alive longer. Bitch, hand that over.
I'm going to need 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to tide myself over in a cave for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I've got to push a rock. And you know how hard that is to push without sugar?
And then I have to fly up to heaven. Do you know how many?
I need sugar.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris's were light with a good cross. Again, they said he needed more fruit. I say, bullshit. The glaze and the cinnamon were great as well. Maggie does love cinnamon, so that was quite clever on Chris's behalf, even with the white chocolate, where she goes, I'm not quite sure on the white chocolate. Dave's were referred to by Matt as pure fluff.
So Maggie's not a fan of the Milky Bar kid?
No, she doesn't. The Milky Bars are not on her.
Do you reckon they've got a rivalry? Like they're just some like little known feud in the
Maggie Beer and the Milky Bar kid.
He's gone.
Is that why the Milky Bar kid
are on me? And he ran out just before he got to Maggie, and she's like, I will remember this.
Stately Beer Manor is actually, they've got a war room just dedicated to the Milky Bar Kid. There's a poster of the Milky Bar Kid with like a cross on his face, like a hot cross bun cross.
The Milky Bars are on notice.
And I do have to look, as much as there was matcha in it, and you do know that it was quite good.
We know Dave's a good fluffer.
When Claire was the first,
his buns are sleepworthy.
When Claire was the first person to speak, the judges weren't first. Claire was, and Claire just went, "Oh my goodness!" Mm-hmm. See, it must have been good.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I also liked about Dave in this challenge was we suddenly got a bit of Dave sass because they cut to him and it wasn't like that was incredible, that was amazing. He went, I knew my dough was great all along because I used my special technique. And
a little salute there at the end.
And a little bit of a wink and a bit of a salute. And I'm like, Dave firing some sass tonight. That was impressive. Now, again, I said, I like the lack of fruit. That was a win for me.
Yeah.
The chocolate, that was a win for me. Now, the technical.
Well, where there was a lack of fruit, there will be a lot of mince.
Now, the technical, this is where, again, to go back to Claire and Mel, Claire in particular, on fire. First of all, the Verjuice Mary and Joseph Moran. That was wonderful.
Can they release that as like a thing? Because then I will actually put up a nativity scene if I can have like a little Verjuice Mary, Joseph Moran.
That'd be awesome.
And then the lambs can be Moran lambs.
That would be great. The nativity. The Bakeoff nativity. Okay, give us your ideas to the Bakeoff nativity. This might even be a form of entertainment during the Vergies, which will be happening this week too.
Yeah, that's right.
So the Vergies are coming up. The Vergies might actually be pretty early this week.
Don't forget to get your nominations in.
Yeah, we've had some really good nominations. Throw us as many nominations for weird categories.
Best wildlife appearance, best dog rollicking through a park.
You don't even have to give us a winner. Just give us the category. We will give you the winners.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we do. We've got a team of crack experts who sit there and count up the votes.
The Vergies Academy.
And then we give it to Warren Beatty, and whatever he says first, that's what we do. Right, that's how we pick the Vergies. So what I also loved about Claire in this one was where she went, they referred to mince pies as the baked treat that you turn to at Christmas when all the good stuff is gone.
Every Christmas, right? Every Christmas without fail, there'll come a point where I'm like, I think I really like mince pies. Maybe before I wasn't mature enough, because you know how as you get older, your palate refines. I'm like,
no,
I'll just have a bite. And I'm like, no, I'm not that old yet. So that's how I'm testing if I've reached old age. Is if a mince pie. So if I turn to be 99 and a mince pie still doesn't sit right, doesn't matter. I'm still young.
No, well, I never have that thought about mince pies. So my question was, does anybody really like mince pies? Some people on Twitter were saying yes. I mean, a Great Australian Bake Off put up a poll which actually said mince pies, yay or nay.
And the nays had it.
So last I checked, the nays had it.
60s.
While we're talking, I'm going to actually check that up to make sure.
Yeah, but what I heard was, I think it was Mel doing a voiceover where she was saying that they were originally had actual meat in it and fruit and spices. I'm like, well, that sounds better. It sounds more like a kind of, spicy game pie than a bloody fruity mince pie.
Well, what confuses me too is that, like, when you go through what the ingredients were, apple, caster sugars, allspice, cinnamon, and brandy, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, then you ruin it with prunes.
Then you put prunes, and the world is over, and it's all ruined. By the way, the final poll. By the way, well, there's 13 hours left, but at the moment there are 86 votes, and 59% say nope. And 41% say love them. So the majority at the moment is the correct majority.
And I presume that the 41% saying love them are the makers of mince pies.
The mince pie fraternity.
Yeah, they've got
the thugs in the mince pie industry are out there. The
Guild of Mince Pie Makers are onto the Twitter.
They got on the phone. They've all got home phones because it's old worldy. And they're like they're the finger dial round spinners. They clink clink clink. Pick up, see? Mince pies are on the threat, see?
What do you mean the mince pies are on the threat?
Get on the Twitters, see? What are the Twitters? You'll find out, see? Mince pie makers.
Don't hand me a canary, I've got to get on the Twitters.
See? I'm sorry, mince pie makers, by the way, if you are listening, and I'm sure you all do, but that's how I imagine you sound. The good news was that, as Chris said, he had some stiffness to work with.
I like it when you got some stiffness.
It's always nice. It's always handy. Now, Mel also
because when you got something in your hand and it's a bit soft and you need the stiffness, it's just not pleasant. It's disappointing for all.
So Mel pointed out that
in fact, when it's not stiff.
Anyway, so Mel pointed out, Matt was saying, Matt has his little trope that we pointed out on the drinking game the other week.
Yes.
That Matt says both there's too much of something and not enough of something at the same time. Because she's like, you know what's going to happen. He'll say, where's the fruit? I can't find any fruit. And then you'll load it up and he's like, all I can see is fruit. There's far too much fruit. You've overloaded it.
Melinda just doing some Seinfeld there. Observational humour, because that's just fucking on point.
What is it about Matt Moran? He says one thing, then another. So the judging, they wanted identical and they wanted golden brown. And look, to be honest with you, what makes a perfect mince? What makes a perfect mince pie? The answer is nowhere near me.
Well, obviously not forking it. Barb forked hers, and look, Matt basically told her to fork off.
Dave's were golden brown, and it leaked out a little bit.
He had leaky.
He had really thick pastry, and it was empty.
You know, when you get that to that time of the month and your pie's leaky, it's just not pleasant for anyone. It's kind of like when something's not stiff and you expect.
Anyway, so Chris, they looked uniform. They were golden brown. They were well filled. They tasted great, and they were well cooked.
Yes, everyone likes a well-filled pie.
Claudia, so they were gold, they nicely sealed, the pastry was a little bit too thick. That was the only problem. Yeah. It tasted really good apparently though. Barb, now Matt made the comment, these are nothing like mine.
Whoop-de-doo, Mr. Moran.
He then said that they were sealed with a fork, but then said they were well sealed.
Oh, it's rustic. Sealing with a fork is rustic.
And he liked the pastry though. They loved the pastry. They were orgasming a little bit over that pastry.
Explain to me, right? Barb uses a tool that humans invented to seal a pie. What did Chris use? A fist. Which one of those is more evolved?
Well, a kiss with a fist is better than none.
That's Florence and the Machine, right?
Yes.
Just being really dodgy. What I'm talking about is Barb wasn't rustic. She was using a more evolved tool to seal.
So what you're saying is that Barb was actually the technologically advanced version, whereas everyone else was like Quest for Fireflight.
They were.
Okay, makes sense. So Dave was fourth, Claudia was third, Barb was second, and Chris was first in the technical. And also, I need to point out, Matt Moran, it wasn't so obvious, but with Maggie Beer, that rain outside was so hard. Maggie was yelling.
Yes.
So in fourth place this week.
Because, you know, when things get hard, some people start yelling.
Anyway, so the wedding cake. So, was I the only person who thought that Maggie Beer was far too tickled by the prospect that she was marrying Matt Moran?
I'm sure there's a lot of women who would be tickled by the prospect of marrying Matt Moran.
They made the joke, and she started giggling.
I'm sure they become Baroness of Moran Lamb. Everyone wants to be the Baroness of Moran Lamb.
So she started giggling and didn't stop.
No.
And it kept rolling, and they kept on she kept rolling, and it kept going, and they're like, something you want to say? And she kept going. It was weird. Now, 3 tears, although Barb didn't listen to that, and she went with 4, or Claudia definitely didn't, but we'll come to that in a minute. 5 hours. Now, I thought that 5 hours was ridiculous. As Dave said, that cake that he made takes 3 days.
Claudia's takes
2.
2, yeah.
They all take usually they take about 2 to 3. You've got 5 hours, go. Makes perfect sense. Now, obviously, didn't get all of the recipes and layers down because there was so much going on. So this is a quick run through. So we gave Chris. He had a mixed berry and white choc, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, she hates white chocolate, you know this.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? There was the poppy seed.
You needed something solid down the bottom. You need a solid base.
Poppy seed was there. That was awesome. Then he went with the choc mint. Now, Maggie, they said at the time about worrying it might be like toothpaste. It was, no, I don't think it'll be like toothpaste.
It's more like Listerine.
Come around in the judging, they actually said it was like toothpaste.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And the problem, as they said, is that it's about how you spread the mint and the chocolate. That's hard.
That said, he's got a big career baking at the dental practice for
Emma and Marcus. It's going to be great. I love that Barb said hers is loud and proud, and you better believe it was, because she went into some of Claudia's booze stash. The bottom layer was rum and date. The next layer was chocolate and bourbon. They had stem ginger in there. Who gives a fuck about the stem ginger? There was rum and bourbon in the bottom 2 layers.
And let's not forget that bottom layer. She had 11 inches down below, and Matt Moran said, so do I.
I know, it was...
And that's why Maggie was giggling about marrying him.
Yeah. Anyway, Claudia went with 3 tiers.
Blood loss.
But 18 layers. for 18 years of marriage. And I'm like...
It was bordering on a chic torta, though.
Well, that was the thing. There was a lot of discussion about chic torta. Of course, Lisa and Olivia having flashbacks there. Of the counting of the layers. But, look, Claudia had a different flavour in all these, but I don't, to be honest, there was ganache. There were also...
Praline.
I don't care.
Jam.
I couldn't care less. The top 2 layers were rum. So she went with all these different layers on the bottom. Yeah, I don't care. She went with all these different flavours on the bottom. The top 2, rum. Rum. Who cares about the bottom layers? Booze.
And that was sweet and delicious and rummy.
And Dave's was a floating cake. Now, to be honest with you...
I was disappointed there was no magnets or mirrors.
Again with the magnets.
And why didn't he go up and put it, like, before he presented it, he go up and put it like a black velvet.
And then pull it back. Ta-da!
He presented and go,
Michael.
Come out with a knife between his teeth before they cut it.
That would have been awesome. Illusion. So the floating cake, to be honest with you, I can barely remember what the hell was in there. All I know is it floated.
It was very white.
It was very white. Now,
and very beautifully decorated.
Interesting bit of information that came from Twitter tonight too. Yeah. Claire made the knitted Matt and Maggie.
I called that because I know she's a knitter, and I'm like,
Yes.
I bet you she's whipped those up.
Yes, got that confirmed. She made them.
Oh, I wonder if she'll do an Etsy store, because that'd be fucking
That
cool.
would be brilliant. She could sell Matt and Maggie's.
And then when you make your own dinner or cakes at home, you can do your own judging.
You can judge them. Finger puppet judging. That'd be awesome.
Or at least a web series.
Yeah, Chris and everyone else there sort of measuring their cakes as the normal way. And then there's Dave.
And then there's Dave.
Dave had a precision measuring device, and he was measuring to the 1/4 inch.
I'm surprised he didn't say when he was going, if my house is burning down and I could only save one, and he didn't say thing, because I reckon that's where he was headed. He's gone one tool.
Yeah.
And otherwise his wife would have been...
His wife's at home going...
Yep.
No, actually his wife's at home probably going...
I agree.
That's fair. That's fair. Look, you can make awesome cakes with that. Go for it, by all means. Then Claudia channeled her inner Claire.
Uh-huh.
Why are wedding cakes so depressing?
Why?
Because they end in tears.
No. You just need someone to go...
Oh, and you can just in the corner, you can see like Claire and Mel going, notes. They end in tears.
Well, Claudia, if the baking thing doesn't pay off for her, she's always got a good, a career as writing for Mel and Claudia.
Yeah, she's going to be their writer.
Next season, she'll be writing some openings for them.
And then there's something we really need to talk about, and it confirms why we consider this to be the best show on TV.
Yep.
You get to the last minute.
Yep.
And Barb was in trouble. Chris was in trouble. They were the bottom 2.
Yep.
Claudia and Chris ran over to Barb with a minute to go.
What can we do?
What can we do? What do we need to help? And they helped finish Barb's cake.
There was no talk of, why would I help her when I'm in trouble?
Yeah, there was none of that.
There was no going to sabotage. There's none of this bullshit drama.
They were trying everything they could to get as many of those things on that cake as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. In a semi-final where you're competing and it's in your interests for you to make the final for her to not finish that cake.
Yep.
And Chris especially didn't give it a second thought.
No.
He's not going to be a prick. He's over there helping because, that's his friend, and he wants them to do the best job they can. And
in action. The whole philosophy that you see in action, which is we want to compete against the best.
Yep. And I absolutely love that moment. Look, in effect, it probably cost Chris his spot in the final. But I don't think he would have been happy with himself going through if he hadn't helped. I don't think he would have been happy with himself. So that again, that goes to show you, like if that was something like, that
integrity,
horrible 3-letter word show that we don't mention, they would have like burnt each other's cakes. One of them would have gone over and kicked the cake over and gone, they didn't plate it up in time. It would have been something stupid like that. So look, kudos. That was an incredible moment for me in the series, and it's something that reminds us all why we watch it.
Yeah.
And why this is the one that the audience that gravitates to. It is. I
I don't, like, we go on about it, but I don't think people understand, like, express enough the actual psychological impact of it. Like, I will be very open, and I have been very open, that I've lived with depression for quite a number of years, and I will occasionally go through a depressive state, which I did for the past couple of weeks. And in those times, I have to minimise what media and what messages I get in, and there is nothing about Bakeoff that I have to censor.
No.
Nothing whatsoever. It is always uplifting and joyful, and it's like an actual antidote to all the bullshit
And I'll
put up with in life.
And I'll put it out there too, just on that front there, that I
Yeah.
know for a fact that there were a huge number of messages you actually had come through from bakers on the show.
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
just saying, hope you're all good, and that's shows the quality of people.
Yeah.
So I think again,
And on that note, if you're battling the black dog at the moment, don't forget you can reach out and find support.
exactly,
Just saying that.
exactly. So let's get into the judging.
Yes.
So Claudia's looked amazing, but Matt didn't like the feathering. I thought it did look a little bit like someone had been tarred and feathered in olden days and was being run out of town on a rail.
See,
I loved that. I didn't hate it. I thought it looked great.
See, now I want to see her and Robert get together, and he makes like a Dita Von Teese, like, chocolate model,
And
then
she makes the fans.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be awesome.
It's
And
just like,
speaking of people that we really would have loved to have seen in this week,
Yes.
Robert would have been so perfect for this one.
Oh, absolutely.
So disappointed. Now, Maggie loved the praline and the sour cherry. As I said, apparently they were layers. I don't know. And then Maggie forgot because the rum, and she just went, "Oh, you can taste the rum." And from that point on, Maggie Beer was sold.
Yeah, she's like, this is in. You're through.
Barb, they said that it looked unfinished, but the flavours were great.
Yeah.
And the textures of the cake.
And you can
itself
see
were
that
great.
on the inside as well.
Oh, yeah, it looked amazing.
Yeah.
They said that Chris's was beautifully iced, and they loved that. They said
They wouldn't have seen that 9 weeks ago.
No, they said that the berries were sort of missing in action a little bit. They didn't get much of it. They did say the cake was moist, but they also said there wasn't a lot of flavour in his vanilla cake.
Yeah. And then the mint.
The orange and poppy seed, however, was great,
Yep.
but they said basically too heavy-handed with the mint.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It happens.
But again, next dental conference, he's there, whipping them out.
And then Matt on Dave's just simply said, "I've never seen anything like this in 3 years."
There you go.
Looked amazing. And
yeah.
they said the passion for it was strong, but they also said it worked with what he had.
And for him to, like, pull off that small engineering feat by himself.
It was impressive.
Teeth involved.
It was highly impressive. I love we were holding it with his teeth, and they looked at him, and he went, "I can't believe I just held this cake with my teeth." And then he went, "I'm doing a 2-man job with 1 man."
Yeah. Good on him.
Which, well, look, I'll give him credit for it. I mean,
I was expecting magnets
again,
dry ice.
again with the magnets.
Floating out.
So Dave was Star Baker off the back of that, and then they made one of my favourite comments of the series. They really tore their hair out, and they immediately showed Matt Moran.
Well, you don't know what was going on down the bottom half near his 11 inches.
And we really don't want to be honest with you. I don't really want to know.
They're probably, smooth as a baby's bottom now.
Anyway, Claire got emotional.
Well,
and
we all
it's the
did.
first. Everyone sort of got emotional, I think. But Claire was really emotional when going through this one, and you don't see it a lot. I mean, we saw it with Sandy Toksvig a few times in the British series. You don't see it a hell of a lot in the Australian series, but this one really tore people up. And it was Chris, and that sucks. It really sucks. And at this point, it would have sucked if it was any of the 4. And like everyone just going, do we really have to send anybody home? Can we do a 4-person final?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So would be fantastic. Unfortunately, we can't. The benefit to that is that we get to talk to Chris.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, that episode will be
He's
early.
not dead.
No, he's still very much alive. Either that or there's a ghost telling me they want to be on the podcast.
Pull out the Ouija board.
Oh, no, don't suggest that. Now we want to do a podcast via Ouija board.
Why do I have to put into a circle to summon him? It would have to be played.
Just a mohawk.
Just a mohawk?
Just a mohawk. I like his line about, I let my hair down. See what you did there, Chris. See what you did there. So Chris will be on this week. We've also got, as we said, the Virgies will be happening this week.
Yeah.
So any other nominations you got for the Virgies, get those in soon. Virgies are likely to be the first thing we do this week. So get the nominations in for the Virgies as fast as humanly possible. There's also possibly a couple more interview episodes coming up. We are also doing a special podcast dedicated to the baking ashes. So
we need the wide world of sports theme.
And I have been asking people for their tips. So we've asked a whole pile of ex-bakers from Australia and from Britain.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of British bakers who will be giving us their tips as well. And I've got him to confirm that he's going to do it. So now I'm just going to say it on the podcast so he doesn't get an option to back out. We have a special guest for that one.
Who?
Brandon Black.
Yeah!
So, finally, Brandon, Mr. #Let Brandon Bake, is going to come on the podcast.
Brandon
So, Brandon, if you decided that you were going to bail on this, guess what? I've just announced it. Bad luck.
Yeah.
He's coming on to talk baking ashes. So, we're going to put together our teams. We haven't really shared our teams.
No, we haven't.
We've deliberately kept away from it. So, it's 5-on-5 teams. If you've got a suggestion, what I want people to put out there on Twitter is, if you have a suggestion for the baking ashes, you need to put together 5 British bakers, 5 Australian bakers.
Yeah.
And they have to be from the last 3 series. Now, the reason for that is where the Channel 9 series didn't happen. And we're going to keep it even.
Dead to us.
And we're going to keep it even, right? Because we don't want British Bakeoff to have all of their series.
We're sending Trent the Ninja from MasterChef into the National Archives to destroy every copy of that series.
You think they kept that in the National Archives?
I don't know.
I think Shane Jacobson torched it. I don't think Shane Jacobson wants that on the resume anymore.
You've seen what Shane Jacobson's been doing.
He's
lately,
okay. He's okay with Kenny. He's okay with a movie that he made about a guy who fixes toilets, but he's not okay with the Great Australian Bake Off. Think about that. So basically the plan is, at the moment, the Virgies will happen.
Yep.
The baking ashes will happen. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk to Chris. We're going to talk to a few other people as well, hopefully. And there'll be a few other little surprises along the way. And we will do a preview of the grand final. So that is going to be a big, big, big week.
Because I don't have any assignments due anything in this week or anything like that. It's not coinciding with anything that could possibly make me feel stressed at all.
Anyway, now that Kristie's made me feel horrible about doing 7 podcasts in 7 days.
A little sarcastic.
Maybe she's made me feel horrible about doing 7 in 7.
No, it's fine. It's a good distraction.
It's all good. So, until, well, let's face it, probably tomorrow, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still hilarious.
And we will catch you all later.